One. So hello, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dave Walker, and I am a life coach and storyteller. And I'm here with one of my fellow coaches, Nancy Michelle, and we're going to share a story with you today. Um, Part of the story is from my book. So I wrote a book. It's called Mondays Don't Have to Suck. It's how small changes can make a huge difference. And today our topic is going to be about making changes in health and wellness. So from both a physical, emotional, and mental side of things. And my book basically talks about how you can make small, unhealthy changes, and over time you end up in a really nasty place. So I weighed 100 pounds more than I weigh right now. I was eating comfort food like crazy. I was 200, that extra pounds came on. I wasn't sleeping. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. at night and my bed was just soaking. I couldn't fall back to sleep. I had isolated myself completely. I ended up in a clinical depression. So those are all the unhealthy things that I did that led to this big, huge change. The second half of my book was how I was able to slowly start picking up on smaller, healthier choices. And before you know, you have the momentum, it made a big change as well. So in a much better place. And the book, Nancy's also be sharing a book too. We're going to do another video, and her book is called The Health Habit by Elizabeth Ryder. The Health Habit by Elizabeth Ryder, and it's got some very similar messages from the book that I've decided to select, which I've mentioned in my book as well. Eat, Move, Sleep by Tom Rath. Um, it's a guide with a bunch of ideas. Like in my book, I like sharing all these ideas so you can pick and choose what works with you. And in this book, it's got all kinds of really good ideas of different things you can use to eat, move, and sleep. And you just go in them, take a look at them. The ones that work for you, work for you. So as an example, I wanted to pick one up that my daughter learned the hard way last night. So my daughter, she's 14. She's on this really healthy eating kick and the whole bit and moving and the whole bit. So good for her. And she also works at Tim Hortons, which those who might not know is a popular donut store in Canada. And my son brought home donuts the other night and she never eats them. And she had 5 donuts last night. And I said, like, Emily, what made you go out and have the 5 donuts? Which she says, she came home late from work. She skipped lunch because she is feeling stressed about an exam. So she just all of a sudden started eating poorly. And in this one here on page 50 of Tom's book, it says, empty stomach, bad choices. Mm. So the hungrier you are, the harder it is to resist unhealthy foods. When your stomach is empty, your blood levels drop, and all of a sudden you're just eating all these donuts and things like that. So that's one of the little tips that both of us are picking right now, is to make sure we've got some snacks in there. So again, the book has got a bunch of helpful ones. But what I wanted to talk to you about, Nancy, is, and your experience that you've gone through as well with health issues and eating Absolutely. And sleeping, is I think there's 2 components that are missing in this book. I think if I were to write it, would be eat, move, sleep, drink. So drinking lots of water and liquids, but also the key thing is not drinking a lot of alcohol, because I think people are drinking a lot more. I know I did. It was one of the ways I used to kind of avoid some of my feelings and emotions, and I ended up in a really nasty place. So self-medicating with the booze. So drink. And the other one would be connect. So eat, move, sleep, drink, connect. And connect is connecting with ourselves and our emotions. Because I tell you, when I was in a bad place emotionally, I couldn't sleep. I was getting up at 2 a.m. processing all this stuff. I didn't want to go and go rollerblading and biking. Had no energy. And then I wouldn't sleep. I had no energy. And I didn't want to go eat healthy food. I just wanted to go in there and eat binge stuff. So the whole part about that emotional part, that I think is just so important to tackle that, or it's going to make a lot difficult to do some of the other ones. So Nancy, I know you've gone through similar things. What are your thoughts on my hypothesis?
Well, I think your hypothesis is right on, because, and your daughter's example is great to showcase that we often don't pause to ask ourselves, why are we doing certain habits, and how those habits are affecting us, and how they're preventing us to be our best selves, to connect with others, and be in sync with ourselves. And so it is a huge component. And we often hear about, eat well, sleep, move, manage your stress. But if you do that without asking yourself, why are you eating a donut? Or why aren't you going to bed earlier? Or why aren't you moving your body? Like understanding, what's driving you. You can do all the practices, but they may not have the impact that you're looking for.
And I think of myself, and I took some pictures when I was going through my period of being in what I call a nasty place. And I've got pictures. One of my pictures, it was my I called it kind of my comfort home couch. And I had no energy, and I would just sit there with my iPad and read the news, and it would just take my mind off all of my worries. And I've got a picture of me laying on my couch with my cover on me, because, just to kind of keep warm. I had absolutely zero motivation whatsoever to even get up and go for a walk. The only motivator to get out of there was to actually go to the fridge and go get some food or unhealthy food to eat. So until I really was able to go back and just say, hold on a second, what am I feeling here? Very difficult to get that motivation to go out there and do
Yeah.
So I think when you were saying is stopping and understanding what's stopping us, or why are we not doing the exercise? Why aren't we sleeping? The importance of being able to do that.
Exactly. I think it's exactly that. I think, when you start to do some, healthy choices for yourself and healthy practices for yourself, and, trying to be more present, more conscious of why you want to do or don't want to do them, and how you're feeling when you either do them or don't do them, to try to find what feels good to you, to be able to reconnect back to yourself. And I think, a point to that also is, when you're able to have more clarity around that, it's also asking yourself, how am I showing up with others? And if I want to be, a better person in my relationships with my family, or, with my colleagues at work, what do I need to do to show up as my best self?
You bring up another part around that connect. So eat, move, sleep, drink, connect. So connecting with ourselves, but the other important one that you brought up is connecting with others. So we're all human beings, and if you're not connecting with other people, you're going to start draining energy as well. So it was something that I had done. I completely social isolated myself from everybody, and that was bringing down the energy. So figuring out, how can we connect with other people? Are we connecting enough with other people? I never really asked me that question, and I wasn't. So another important part, you talk about connecting with other people and the right people. So if you're not in the right frame of mind, it's very difficult to connect with others, is what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. And also through those connections, you can, set up some accountability, for yourself, connecting with, a family member, a friend, to say, I'm thinking about making those changes for my health, and, asking them to check in on you and to support you as you're doing those changes. That's a way to keep you accountable and to connect with people around you as well.
So a couple of things I take away: the importance of the accountability. And I think the importance too, when I went through everything I went through, and there was a huge physical, emotional, and mental change in me. Like I weighed 100 pounds more than I did. Some of the pictures in my book, it looks like I'm seriously look like I'm 8 months pregnant. But there was only one person who ever was aware of what I was going through. It wasn't even me. I hit rock bottom before I was ready to change. So I think one of my takeaways is, when I see people who I know who are going through these changes, being aware of that. Is there some way that I can kind of reach out to them and connect with them to say, hey, how are you feeling? So that whole part of being there for others as well, before they're even ready to ask for accountability, right? Maybe they're not
Exactly.
aware of where they're at. So thank you very much, Nancy, on that. Now, if people are looking to, do you mind just sharing really quickly the name of the book that you had mentioned?
Sure, let me show it again. So the author is Elizabeth Ryder, and the title is The Health Habit. And so in there, you'll find a lot of practical tips to, get you started.
And if people want to reach out to you and talk about making some changes in their health and the whole bit, how do they get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me by email at nancy.michel@nancymichelcoaching.com, or on my website, nancymichelcoaching.com, and on Facebook as well.
And the book that I was Tom Rath's book, which is Eat, Move, Sleep. So again, lots covering off there. And we'll have to figure out a way to get some more ideas on the connecting with others and the drinks side. My book, Mondays Don't Have to Suck, is available on Amazon. And in it, I take a similar approach to that, to just sharing some of my lessons learned from what I went through and sharing tips and resources as well for people to cover off to start making some of those changes. You can reach out to me at my email, which is daveawalker123@outlook.com, or through my website, davewcoachingandstorytelling.com. So thank you very much, Nancy. And I look forward to reconnecting with you again. We'll take a look at more detail around your background and some of the transformation you've gone through and lessons learned. And we're going to cover in more depth the book, The Health Habit.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Nancy.